Hello, good evening, happy Friday. And if your week has been anything like mine, TGIF. There is a lot to discuss tonight. It's going to be a really entertaining evening on Fools Rush In, I'm sure. We've got a quality panel for you. But before we start, let's hit that intro.
Take my hand, take my whole life too, but I can't help falling in love with you.
Let's get straight into it then and say hello to the gentlemen who have got a lot of opinions on a lot of topics tonight. Starting with, we promise we're going to play nicely. BTB is back. Good evening, Ben.
Hello, Fifey. Yes.
How are you, buddy?
Yeah, I'm well, mate. I'm well. It's been a good day, a good week. I'm
Good.
chomping at the bit to come back. I can't wait.
Well, we're delighted that you've made it back, given that you've managed to appear on other pods and been just stitching us up for the last couple. So it's nice to have you back with us.
Back to the bread and butter. Yeah.
Bread and butter, indeed. It would not be a Fools Rush In panel without saying good evening to young Nick. How are you, buddy?
Yeah, I'm really good, Fifey. Looking forward to tonight. Plenty of interesting topics to discuss. So
Isn't there?
It's going to be interesting.
It sure will. Next up, I've had messages asking where they are. The fans missed him. We've got him back. Good evening, Ned.
It's Brittany, bitch. Good morrow.
How are you, pal? It's good to have you back.
Yeah, good, thanks. Good, very, very good. And oh yeah, that reminds me. I just want to say a big thank you to Mike Dixon, who messaged me when I wasn't on the show last time. So that was very much greatly appreciated. So thank you, Mike.
Hey,
Fans
Mike.
notice when you're not there, Ned. They miss you. They want your opinions and they want your large lung capacity for vaping.
Some mighty wine vapes going on.
The might of the vape.
Speaking of which,
indeed. Get your chanting gears ready for Friday Night Joe. Evening, pal.
How's it going?
Oh, I'm ever happier seeing your smiley face. It makes my Friday nights. Since we've moved to 2 shows a week, seeing you smiling on a Friday, it just really warms the heart.
That's good. Let's hope you're still smiling tomorrow night, eh?
Indeed. Last up from the Swindon Town perspective, another very welcome return. Good evening, Craig.
Evening, mate. I tell you what, I feel fantastic to be back.
Good. I'm glad to hear it. And I really enjoy the emphasis behind the fantastic. And regular viewers to Fools Rush In, those who have been with us along the journey, will recognise our next guest offering a different view on things tonight. Colchester fan, friend of the show, Sai is back as well. Evening, buddy.
Evening all. Evening.
Absolutely delighted to have you back.
Look at the background Ned's got. You guys should get one of those for your background. Have like all of you's murals.
Fools Rush In mural?
Background, yeah. I think that'd be epic. That's a whole new professional setup you've got. Brilliant.
Sarah, you don't want to have do you? Picture of the guys.
If you, gents, if you'll allow me a little bit of housekeeping just to start the show off. First of all, I'm going to flash this particular one up as Claire says, "Good evening, gents," and I'm delighted that Claire has said good evening because a little birdie tells me it may be her birthday, and so from everyone at Fools Rush In, a very happy birthday to Claire.
happy birthday!
Happy birthday.
Happy
Hello.
birthday.
21 again.
Again.
That's why he's a hit with the ladies.
Don't smoothie any on it.
Yeah.
I'm meeting Claire tomorrow, so don't you worry. We'll have a birthday hug.
He doesn't mess about, does he, Nick? Also, I mentioned just very briefly, and it'll be something that gets talked about in other circles, but I mentioned a couple of episodes. A friend of mine was doing a 24-hour stream to raise awareness and funds at the end of Baby Loss Awareness Week. That has actually started 2 hours ago. I was there listening to the opening hour or so before I was setting this up. So I'm just for him, flashing this up on the screen. It's a cause very close to his heart, having suffered a loss of his first child. He's doing a 24-hour stream available on YouTube and Twitch. And after the Welcome to Wrexham show, his challenge is to take Wrexham on a updated version of Champ Manager from the conference as far as he possibly can. There'll be people coming on over the next 24 hours talking about SANS and other charities linked to it. If you are able to, by all means, go and watch. That his sense of humour is very similar to mine. He doesn't quite have the same charisma, but can't have everything. But no, it's a very worthwhile charity. I've already donated. I will be doing it again, probably at least 2 more times over the next 24 hours. But he is there, and I'm just flashing along the bottom all the details for that particular charity appeal that he is doing. I think that ends the housekeeping. So should we get straight to it, guys? And with Si here, let's talk about the weekend's game. I'm not going to allow Ben or Nick to start because they're going to say something stupid about how we will absolutely beat Colchester. So let's let the guests go first and tell us what should we be worried about.
Well, clearly the main thing you should worry about is the fact we always manage to get points off you in the season. That's just like the actual thing.
Hashtag Bogey Club.
All joking aside, though, if you'd spoken to me probably about 10 days ago, I'd be like, yeah, I don't even know why I'm going to go. You've got 3 points in the bag. We can't kick football 2 yards. However, we've now appointed a manager who seems to understand how to manage players and make substitutions. And
it's amazing how what difference it makes, isn't it?
Stuff happens in football. Yeah, now Matt Bloomfield's taken over. There's a massive breath of fresh air about the club. 3 games, 3 unbeaten. I'll give you the caveat that 2 were in the Pizza Cup, but 1 was at home against Harrogate. That's the badger. So we're on a bit of a roll now. We're going places. When I say places, I'm hoping to get 13th. But Rome wasn't built in a day. Rome was not built in a day. So I think it'll be a good game tomorrow. I'm more confident I was, like I say, this time last week. But I reckon we're going to win 2-1.
Wow, straight in with the winning prediction. How to make friends and influence people on a Swindon Town pod, I suppose. Joe, should we go in with a certain air of caution, or should we be going in fairly confident?
It's Colchester. They're going to beat us probably. No, I think we.
That's how we wanted to start.
Yeah, obviously we've reacted so far. We've reacted well to defeats this season, so hopefully that'll carry on tomorrow. But Simon was right. Colchester always get points off us somehow. I don't know how. I don't know how they did it. Like the away game last year was an absolute joke. How they got a point out of that. But yeah, if we play well, we'll win. But it's I got a funny feeling there might be a few changes tomorrow, change of formation perhaps. So it'd be interesting to see what happens. But
well, I know that you guys have been posting it in our WhatsApp chat, and a lot of you are looking to go to kind of a 4-4-2 diamond, pretty much.
I think two strikers. I just think Jeff Gott is too isolated on his own, and he's not. That's not his best. It's not his best role up there on his own. He needs some support with him. And I think if Wakeling can get in there and do what he does, running around and causing trouble with his energy more than anything, hopefully that'll just free Jeff Gott up a bit to find some more space. But I just got a funny feeling he might change things tomorrow. And I think he'll go to a back 3. But
okay,
we'll see. It'd be interesting to see. I just think. Yeah, I mean, obviously last week was disappointing, and perhaps he just feels like he needs to freshen it up a little bit. But
I certainly had a lot to say about what happened last weekend, that's for sure. So it can't possibly. The one positive for me is it can't possibly be that bad again. Surely, it's the way I'm looking at it.
I was saying that every game last season, and we always made it out of the bag and get worse. So I would not hold your breath on that one, mate.
Ned, how optimistic are you feeling for the weekend?
I am feeling optimistic. I'm just a bit perplexed as to what happened with Colchester this season so far. Because at the end of last season, you guys seemed to turn a corner and it seemed to be going really well. What happened, Si?
So I think last season we started off with what can only be described as an empty tracksuit stood there waving his hands around looking confused in Hayden Mullins. I could not stand that bloke, so before I get too personal, move on. Then Wayne Brown came in, sort of parachuting caretaker. I think it was more the uplift he gave the club. He was the ex-captain. He understood the club, understood what the fans wanted, and we just dug ourselves out by the skin of our teeth. And I think personally, our last season's finish papered over a lot of crap that it wasn't actually fixed, so to speak. Just won a few games, came up high, and then we went, right, we'll give him the job full time. Fair enough. He's got his whole pre-season under the belt. See how it goes. It hasn't clicked. He hasn't set. Wayne Brown didn't start with a set formation. We couldn't work out what was going on. The players looked completely down, out. And one of my biggest bugbears, we weren't making substitutions until like 53 minutes, I think was our earliest. And that was on a really very, very good day. Normally it was like 85 minutes is our last couple of substitutions. It was like they won't get into the game. Players would get frustrated, dropping and changing. He was just out of his depth, really. So obviously, then he got sacked, which then everyone went up, oh, hooray. Then we assumed we were going to get an internal manager. That's all we seem to do normally. And out of nowhere, we've actually got an external appointment in Matt Bloomfield. Yes, it's a risk because it's his first gig, if you like, but he's been played X amount of games for Wickham. He's been on Gareth Ainsworth for God knows how many years. If you can't learn from that man, well, you can't teach anyone, can you? So it's all looking more positive, that is, but that's the problem we've had is the managers have just completely let us down. I think they've just killed the squad because we've had flashes where you show the squad's good enough. Under Bloomfield, it's almost like a new team, new revelation. So hopefully that's going to, the sort of revolution's on. We're marching forward, as they say.
Yeah, it just seems really odd. I mean, you just mentioned there, the squad. Omar Bogle, not Bugle. Mike, you missed the joke. But yeah, I mean, if you look at your squad there, it's certainly good enough to be at minimum like 10th in the table, minimum. Apart from Appiah, I think he's bloody shit. But God only knows why you've got him on loan. Why did you get him on loan? I know he scored 2 goals, but I'm sure they must have been deflections off his arse.
to be really honest, the way it was at our place when he arrived, we're taking it off his test score. I don't care what it goes in, as long as it goes in. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah, it was really kind of He hasn't, to be fair to him, he hasn't actually played too badly in the sort of number 9 role we've been playing him in. But yeah, I think the squad. The problem we've got is twofold of our squad. It's good enough. I personally feel it's good enough for playoffs if it can be motivated in the right direction. But the other problem we also have with the fan base, a lot of them come from Ipswich, which goes back to the whole Ipswich.
I know you take a lot of players from Ipswich, but you're even taking their fans now.
I don't know. I don't seem to have much of an increase. So yeah, so that obviously because the squad's come from Ipswich, some of it that again puts a lot of fans on the back. But when we're not doing well, they'll straight away tell on those players, even though it's not necessarily their fault. So there's just a complete disconnect across the whole, everywhere really, from fans, the management to the squad, the owner. Well, you probably know enough about our owner to know he's not exactly the most popular guy on the planet. But yes, and what we need now is Bloomfield to come in and bring it all back together. But I think if the fans are happy seeing attacking football with substitutions being made, we can't win every game, but we want to see a setup that's trying, they're rolling every roll of the dice they've got, making subs, attacking football. You lose, but at least you lose with passion and fight. That'll get the fans back on board. And I think once the fans are back on board, the players will then feed off it, and then hopefully, because every time I come on here, it's scenes before it's winning, I'm like, this season's going to be different. This season's going to be different, and the only thing different about it is you actually do worse. So eventually, I've got to be right.
Listening to Si there, Craig, is as if he just watched me on our Monday episode and quoted word for word about how to lose a game.
Crikey, yeah, it wasn't too much different, was it?
No, absolutely not. How confident are you going into the game?
Well, similar to what Si was saying, like 10 days ago, 2 weeks ago, I'd have been like, I think we'll get a win here. But they've got the new manager bounce. they're not good away from home. Only 1 point out of 5, and they've lost the rest of them. So I would have been confident of a win, but I think with that new management bounce, we're meeting them at the wrong time. To be fair, it's interesting what Si was saying about about having the right manager in place, because I remember when we did the preview last season with Si, and we said the signings that they made were really, really good, and then they just didn't have a good enough season, and they've made a few decent signings this season as well, and you're sort of like thinking, how are they down there where they are? So hopefully for Si's sake and for Colchester's sake, they've turned a corner with Bloomfield. It might be an inspired appointment. So, yeah, I think it's going to be a very tough game tomorrow for us again. I think every game is going to be tough for us, to be honest. There's not going to be many easy games in this league. This league's more competitive than what we think it is. I know we think, oh, we're Swindon, we're the bigger club and everything. We should be beating these teams, but it's not the case. I mean, apart from Crawley and, well, even Rochdale seem to have improved slightly as well. There's, every other team in this league, they're not going to be pushovers. So I don't think, I think we'll probably end up getting a draw tomorrow. Like I said, I would have said a win a week ago, but yeah, I think it's going to be incredibly tough and a very tight game tomorrow.
On behalf of everyone associated to Fools Rushing, I apologise for what's about to happen, but we're going to invite Ben and Nick to have their say now on this game, and this is almost certainly going to end in carnage. Trying to decide what's the lesser of two evils, I'm going to let Nick go first and tell us why it's an almost certainty that Swindon are going to win.
Well, sadly, Fifey, I'm afraid I'm going to make you eat those words, because I'm actually worried about Saturday's game, and I think we could struggle unless we do what we talked about on Monday. We've got to win the right to play our nice football. And if we don't do that, we will scrape a draw and possibility we're going to lose the game. So we've got to battle it out from minute one. And I think that's what we didn't do at Stevenage. The positive is he's had a week to sort it. He was up front on how bad we were. He doesn't pull any punches with his press conferences, which is really good. Tells it how it is. But it's another week where the players owe Lindsay, and they've got to perform Saturday. And I think this one, as much as it's still early in the season, I think this is a must win. We absolutely must win this game on Saturday. But yeah, there is a worry that we could struggle. I actually agree with Joe. I think I wouldn't be surprised if he goes to a back three and shakes it up a bit and bring quite a few changes in, more than we would probably think. So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if
what changes you thinking, Nick?
Well, say 3 at the back. I think Ilandolo, I think he'll come in to give a bit of steel in that midfield. And I think he might drop Williams. Don't know if he's 100% fixed. He did take a few knocks on Saturday, so he could change that formation. He definitely needs to go 2 up front. So I think the changes, bringing a third centre back and Iandolo into the midfield, as I say, to give that bite which we need from the start, and see what it goes from there. So that's my worry, that we don't earn the right to win the game, and we'll see what happens in that first 15 minutes. That's going to be critical.
Okay, Ben.
I think it's really important, as Nick says, we learn the lessons of last week. There's any good that came from last week, that we learn, as Nick says, that we can't just walk into games expecting to play our football and walk into a comfortable victory. You can tell the players play for the manager. They've had the whole week to prep and to get ready. I think the manager may well have just ripped up the book, because he called last week the worst performance of the season. Now, if that's outdone Harrogate, then it really was shocking. So
It certainly wasn't worse than Warsaw.
You said it was worse that we've been this season. So
Basically, every time I go, it's the worst performance of the season. It seems.
Well, you're going to Bradford with me. Yeah. So with that in mind, I think we could be quite a dangerous animal, as in they will be looking for a fast start. They'll be looking to get an early goal and get the fans in on side. I think it's important that Colchester survive the first 20 to 25 minutes. If they don't, if they do, and the score is still 0-0, then they might well get something, because I think the fans will get a little bit frustrated and a bit tetchy. Yeah, I think it's going to be a very important first half an hour of the game tomorrow. I think Swindon score, we could one of good winners. Because
now, let's not sugarcoat this, Ben, because you recently featured on a podcast that we know very well and described the home double header of Colchester and Hartlepool as a great opportunity.
Yeah, it is an opportunity. We're playing a team who are struggling towards the bottom of the league with only 1 point away from home. How is that not an opportunity to take 3 points? That is an opportunity. Even Si would agree that, but it's an opportunity. I'm not saying we will. We might not. We might pass the opportunity and Colchester might turn us over. But it's the opportunity to beat them. It's a good opportunity.
You can almost see the steam coming out of Pfeiffer's ears there. Ready to go, isn't you? You're being held back, or you're holding yourself back on a leash there, Pfeiffer. You can see it.
With respect, you much rather than ColU at home than Bradford at home right now, because it's what we need after this. No offence to Si, but they are at the bottom end of the table. And if we're expecting to do anything this season, we want to win.
No, fair enough. We all say, we like to have differing opinions, and me and you differ as much as anybody. Si's already sort of gone a bit premature and given his score prediction, but let's fly round quickly and see what you guys think. We'll go the other way around this time then, Ben, and you can go first. What is the score going to be?
For you, Pfeiffer, we'll get that early goal and we'll win 3-0.
I sort of agree with Ben that early goal's critical, but as much as I hate to say it, I can see a 1-1 or a 2-2.
Fair enough.
Ned?
I was going to say 3-0 like Ben, but the only thing is that even when Colchester have been at the worst, they don't concede too many goals. So I'm going to sort of rein it in to possibly a 2-0.
You bring it into 3-0.
Rein it in by goal.
Go.
Yeah, I'm still not fully convinced by this team in a minute, so I can easily see a 2-1 defeat, but I think it'll be a draw.
Ned was not happy with that at all.
No, he's gone.
Not sure what's happened to Ned. We hope to have him back in a moment. He's turned into carnage already. Craig?
Yeah, sorry, that's put
Ned's back.
Knocked me sideways a bit. I think it's going to similar to Nick. I think it's going to be a 1-1 draw. I think the thing is, people know how to play against us, and I imagine that Matt Bloomfield is going to do his homework, and he will maybe do what Steve Evans did, or something along those lines. And people know how to play against us. And as we said before, we need to play our game better than the other team does. But yeah, I think we'll struggle to get a win. So yeah, 1 each for me.
We've had a couple of tweets come in. Paddy has been in touch. Evening, Paddy. To bring us luck, he shall perform the Paddy Stavros shuffle dance routine in the middle of the Magic Roundabout tomorrow, while his mate Denzel plays "We Are Fifey's Red and White Army" on the harmonica. And dear friend of the show, Danny, this is a rather sad one. She's not feeling great. There's definitely something going around. Half the guys at my work have big caught all sorts really this last week. But she's put, I'm so poorly, didn't sleep all night, and her eyes are going. So she's going to have to leave it there. She's gutted. She's also missing the game tomorrow because of the illness, but she is looking forward to listening back to this once it's available. So in respect of Danny, guys, let's make sure this is entertaining. So Ned, if you are going to run off again, in case she only listens back and what instead of watches, can you keep your headphones on and give a running commentary of what's going on, please?
That would have just been constant swearing for just 35 seconds. Crumperoonie. Apologies, everyone.
Rooney.
Danny, from everyone at F.R.I, please get well soon. And we hope that when you do listen back, it's worth the listen and we've managed to entertain. We look forward to you being back with us 100% and causing carnage in the chat probably on Monday. Si, you've heard from the guys. Are you in any way, shape or form concerned by the sheer dourness of what they've just had to say?
I think the problem is I think this fact you had a week's break is going to go one of two ways. It's either going to give it time to rejuvenalise, buck everyone's ideas up, put the proverbial rocket, or they're going to have a week dwelling on what could have been and what happened, and then going to come up against, well, obviously I'm biased, but I think a team that's kind of on a bit of a momentum wave. So I think it could go one of two ways. And if you go to 2 up top, that would definitely improve your chances against our back four. Just because they're a bit, if you've got Eastman and Chambers or Chambers and Dallison, you've got very much a slower centre pairing. So you've got the 2 up top, but then give it the ins and outs, especially one with the energy, then one with the back to goal, I think would be harder for us to defend against. And I would like to say, both of you, take it from me, it's the worst you've seen them play, but you've got to caveat that with so far, because there's always scope to go that little bit best.
Absolutely. And believe me, as Swindon fans, we know that to be the case as well.
We should know better, really, shouldn't we?
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on. Oh no, actually, before I do, I don't want to forget. It's very important I don't forget this. I mentioned it's Claire's birthday, and we spoke about it. I think it was this time last week, actually. Tomorrow's game will see Michelle and Claire among a group of volunteers outside the county ground, collecting for Wiltshire Air Ambulance. I hope I've got that right. I'm going to have to check in case it's wrong. Wiltshire Air Ambulance. There will be demos going on for fans as well to learn about CPR, as among other things. So I fully appreciate the cost of living crisis and everything everyone is going through. Only if you're capable, if you are able to, and you do see the ladies about, please do throw any change you can, any notes you can into the buckets. They would very much appreciate it. It's going to a great cause. And of course, as we know, particularly Claire, she'd love to stop for a hug and a selfie as well. So little shout out for them. If you do see them about, and you are able, it's crucial you say, and you are able to. Don't do it if you can't, but if you are able to throw anything in, please do. Let's move on, and again, a little bit of housekeeping from me, really. This won't take very long at all, but we're heading into, we've been working very hard behind the scenes to try and make Fools Rush In as good as possible, and October is a particularly busy month. We had Joe make an excellent debut the other day, I think you'll all agree. We've got Si on today, and Si's, we have Matt on as well, of course, and the guests continue to come. We are trying our very best to keep it fresh, keep it interesting. So on Monday, Fools Rush In sponsored Beth will be coming on. She's coming on to discuss the women playing the FA Cup game at the county ground. You may also be familiar with this logo, Lower League Look. We mention it quite a lot, and I know a lot of us are familiar with it. We've got Grant coming on to discuss the Hartlepool game, and Liam will also, that'll be next Friday. Liam will be on the following Monday to discuss the Bradford game. Then, on the Tuesday, a lot of your favourite Fools are heading to Bradford away. We're not 100% sure yet what we're going to be doing, but there may well be some matchday content from there as well. I would highly recommend watching the Halloween episode on the 31st, because we've got a very special announcement that we're keeping back specifically for that episode about something coming up in November. And then, of course, as soon as Halloween's out the way, we turn to Christmas. Here was a picture from the Fools Rush In Christmas party last year. We have a date, and the majority, if not all of your favourite Fools, will be hitting Town and Old Town late in November for an early podcast Christmas party. But that's not an exclusive event. If you want to come and see us on a night out, you're more than welcome. And we will let you know the details once we know exactly what we're doing. We have a rough idea, but we need to sort it out. But Craig, 25th of November, is it?
Yeah, the last Saturday in November. It's when England play
It's the same day as England play America.
Yeah,
but yeah, Fools Rush In Christmas party. There you go. People have been asking us. There's the announcement.
It's worth it. It's worth it just for Rich's dancing.
Yeah.
Rich's dancing is worth the night out. That is for sure.
And a cuddle with Joe, of course.
Joe gives a great cuddle. He really, really does.
Top quality.
Let's move on then, and let's move over to Friday night, Joe. Actually, because you were in attendance for the women's game yesterday.
Yeah, I was indeed. Went over to me and Rich went over to Fairford. Bit chilly, bit misty, but another good performance from the girls again. 4-0 win. 2 goals from no surprises. Annie up front again, notched another 2. And then good header from a corner for the 3rd goal from Steph Bent. The 4th goal is probably going to be goal of the season. Absolute corker.
Another goal of the season contender.
Yeah, honestly, this one, mate, she's right on the corner of the box, and she's like pinged it far post, right in the top bins. Unbelievable technique. I think they've hit the bar twice. The keeper's made 3 or 4 really good saves. They completely bossed that game, and the back 4 let barely anything go by them. It was just all round a really good performance, and they're looking like they're going to have a strong season, I think.
Good. And was that your first trip out to Fairford to watch them play?
Yeah, first time I've been to Fairford. So if anyone is sort of localish to that area, it's well worth getting down there. I believe they're there. Don't quote me on this. I believe they're there again on 2 weeks' time on a Thursday again. So 2 weeks last night.
Uh-huh.
Did you buy a burger though, Ben? Ben. Did you buy a burger, Joe?
I didn't buy a burger because I had eaten before I went, but I did hear very good things about the burgers. So maybe next time I go, I'll sample one for you.
Oh, we're always being told about them. So yeah, we need a proper review.
Many people mentioned them last night, including some of the coaching staff at the Swindon team. So they obviously are well thought of.
To be fair, sorry about in.
No,
from an outsider, I think it's actually really good what your club's doing for the women's team. You know, you do especially like your Twitter feed and stuff like that, and you are really bringing them on board alongside the men's game, which I think more clubs need to do if the games are going to grow. And obviously, I know you've already alluded to, talk about later having the game at the county ground, but I just think it's good the club are actually being forward thinking and bringing that game to the ground. Hopefully, more fans will go and see it and then carry on following there. So now I think it's fair play to you all the way you're promoting it from the club and you guys as well. I think it's really good.
Craig, is there something you'd like to add in about STWFC as well?
Not STWFC, but while we were talking about women's football, just wanted to mention Chelsea manager Emma Hayes, who's having to have a severe operation next week, and she's going to be out of the game for a while. She's having a hysterectomy because she suffers from endometriosis, which, for those who don't know, is quite a painful condition that women suffer with. So she's taken a break out of the game, and just wanted, on behalf of all of us and and everything, just to wish her all the best, because it's quite a horrible condition to have, and obviously that procedure is quite a horrific one to have as well. So just wanted to wish her all the best of luck and a very quick recovery.
No, absolutely. And if I can also throw in a little shout out, there seems to be a lot of notices and housekeeping tonight, but I've got a little message flashed up there. You'll recognize the surname. That is my older brother, who is soon to become a father again. and the future of SCWFC is due to be born on Sunday. He's having a little girl, and tells me that Sunday is the day. So obviously, I'd like to personally wish the whole family really obviously the very best of luck, and I will certainly be keeping my eyes on my phone all day, waiting for updates to know that everything went okay. But yeah, so that is just a little personal one from me.
Friday as well.
on,
For Monday, don't forget, it's not, we've got more than one woman guest on Monday.
We have. Would you like to do the announcement?
No. You go ahead.
No, please. You sorted this one for me, so it's only right that you announce it.
Swindon women's footballer Bryony. She'll be on as well. My niece.
Hey.
You have mentioned Bryony a few times, and we're delighted that she'll finally be making her Fool's debut as well. It's going to be a packed show, but it's great to see so many women represented. Obviously, we've had Jo, we've had Claire, we've had ladies on from the team before. Having Bryony on make her debut as well, absolutely made up. The only reason I didn't announce it is because I didn't have a graphic prepared, Ned. I do apologise.
Ned, is she going to dish the dirt on you on Monday?
I'm looking forward to someone.
You could be referring to, Nick. No idea.
I think because when we know the origin of Ned's actual name, I don't think there's much more he'd be able to say.
Oh dear me. Let's move on then to our first proper topical debate, if we can. And I'm delighted that Sai is one of these guests who's happy to sit through the entire show within reason, because on episodes like this there is plenty for him to get involved with as well. The news came out that the EFL are in discussions about getting rid of the 3 p.m. blackout with a view to a streaming service such as Netflix or Amazon, maybe one of these types of places, being able to offer EFL games. The first thing that has to be said is it certainly didn't get the reaction that the 1 p.m. kickoffs got, that's for sure. But it did get a mixed reaction, different people making some very, very, it has to be said, valid points on both sides. So I'm intrigued, gents, on where you will sit on this one. I'd like to start with Nick, if I may.
I think it'll depend on individual clubs, Fifey. If you take Stevenage, I think the gate last Saturday was just over 4,000 and we took nearly 900.
Yep.
Now, if those games are streamed live, that could seriously reduce the number of away fans that go. So it will affect clubs with small gates. I don't think it will affect us massively because we don't get that many away supporters to our ground. Obviously, there's a few that bring a good number, but the vast majority bring some less than 100, some in the low hundreds. So it certainly will depend on the size of the club. Those on low gates, I think, will be affected. Probably League Two will be affected more than any other league. Leagues One, there's a lot of big teams in League One who've got good away support. And then if you go up through Championship, I don't think it'll have any effect on Championship because, again, there's some massive clubs there and it takes hundreds, if not thousands, to away games. So I think the issue is going to be for League Two clubs. It could seriously hit some of the ones who only get the 3,000-4,000 to their games. So that could be a big money hit for them.
Joe, what was your instant reaction when you heard that the discussions were at least taking place?
Yeah, I mean, I can see it from both sides. It is going to affect clubs, obviously. But also, in the current financial climate that the country's in, it's going to help people that perhaps can't afford to go, or So I can see it. I can see it from both sides. What's going to be the perfect outcome? There probably isn't going to be a perfect outcome, to be honest. It's whatever happens, somebody's going to be upset, and some people are going to be happy. But yeah, it's a difficult one, really. And until they sort of decide exactly what they're going to do, it's a difficult one whether I think it's a good idea or not, really. But like I say, you're going to get a lot more people watching games, but not necessarily at the grounds, which is unfortunate. But yeah, I guess we just wait and see what their master plan is.
Si, what was the reaction like from the Colchester fans?
It's very much mixed. I think like it's been across the country, but see, personally for me, I don't think it's going to be an issue. Beyond a number of reasons, the main one being is obviously even if Amazon take it, say they're going to screen 10, 15 games on a Saturday at 3 p.m. It's not going to be Colchester versus Carlisle or games like that. It's going to be championship games. It's going to be your big League One games. I don't know if it's just playing Plymouth or someone like that. So I personally feel for us, it's not going to have a massive effect because there's not going to be a great deal of League Two football down there, unless it's a big game. And then if it's a big game, people that go will go anyway. So that it will be more a casual observer that will be like, oh, I don't know, you've got a Carlisle fan that's not going to the game because they're playing Exeter or something, and then oh, I'll just stick that on and see what it's like. Also, I think because there's so much football on TV now, people can take it and leave it as they please. Whereas you guys will remember, obviously much better than me, but the FA Cup, when that used to be
Is that a subtle dig that there may be a few members of the panel a little bit older than you?
Why? I'll go with wiser. If you want to go with older,
wiser.
That's your approach. But like, the FA Cup final used to be a whole day, didn't it? You know, you see the team breakfast, the coach. It was like the biggest day for me as a kid. It was the best day other than Christmas Day of the year. But you don't get that now. So I think it's 10 a penny football matches on TV. So I don't think it will be as big a issue lower down the leagues as I think people are potentially making it out to be. And then higher up the leagues you go, you see it now. I was at Manchester Derby a couple of Sundays ago. I was a sellout, and X amount of people watched it on Sky. So big clubs will still get the gates through. The little clubs won't necessarily get a stream games, but we might get a bit more revenue come in for the whole package. So, as probably an unpopular opinion, but I actually don't think it will have an effect, other than maybe a bit of income coming in for lower league clubs.
Yeah, no, I understand that. I mean, from my perspective, well, I've looked at this a number of different ways. And I think for me personally, it would probably be a good thing because I don't get to have as many games as I'd like to through either commitments or just being able to afford to travel from Leicester to the games. However, I would very much like when we discussed the 1 p.m. kickoffs a few weeks back, I would like to see the data because unlike what I felt a lot of people, particularly on social media, through a range of clubs did, they looked purely at their own situation and whether it's a benefit or not. I would happily say, look, yes, it might be better for me, but if Swindon are going to suffer or League Two clubs are going to suffer because of it in one way or the other, then I would rather keep it as it is because my situation's fine and I see Swindon as much as I can. So there's no point in it benefiting me, but damaging the club. I would rather the club came first. Let's hand over to Ned. I don't know on what side of the fence you sit on this one.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm probably against all matches being shown. I think, I'd like some kind of hybrid sort of thing where maybe, if let's just say if it was, Amazon or whoever to broadcast it, they pay a chunk to all clubs, but maybe they only select 3 or 4 games from each division. Mix it up, change it round. So
a proper highlights package.
Well, I just don't think. I think it will affect the game too much if it's all games. I don't think that's a good idea. But I think just because at the moment on BT Sport you've got all the conference games. You've got so many.
I've been pulled up on already.
Yeah, I mean it's there's so many games on there, and you think, well, why are they not showing League Two games? Why are they not showing League One games? Surely there must be more people to watch it. But I just maybe show 3 or 4 games, selected games. This week's ones will be and maybe try and go for the ones that are going to be least affected financially. I don't know how to work it, but I'd like to see it trialed to see, how it affects. What's the differences. Financially, because obviously they'll get paid a certain amount for showing the game live versus how much revenue have they lost from probable people coming through the gates. I don't know, but I'd like to see it trialed. And as I said, I think 3 or 4 games. You think of the amount of commentary team and pundits that have to get in to do all these games. It'd be crazy, wouldn't it?
I'm sure Folksport got a few lying about not doing much.
Trevor Sinclair. He's available now. No, Ryan.
It has been a couple of episodes since you've randomly shouted Ryan Giggs for no reason.
Maybe Trevor Sinclair could sit next to Sol Campbell. They could do it together. That'd be interesting to see, wouldn't it?
Yeah. But I think if it was up to me, I would probably say just allow people to watch iFollow, because I think that's a more realistic way of doing it. And also, there's probably more money going to the club. But I don't know the financial side of things and what the package would be. I don't know, but that's my thoughts anyway.
Okay, Ben, where are you on this particular debate?
You're still never going to be going to a game of football. No matter what you watch on TV, it's still 20 times better than actually watching it on TV. So if it does affect anything, it's probably going to affect the away fans more than anything. But I don't think it's having a great effect. I agree with Ned. I think overkill is a thing, and I think maybe have a selection of 2 or 3 games of League Two and then rotate rather than just every single one. But I'm not nearly as fussed about this as I was with 1 o'clock. I'm quite chilled about it. Either. It's brilliant if it is on, because obviously away games you can watch. But yeah, I travel over probably about 3.25 hours, 3.5 hours to get to Swindon and back round trip on a Saturday.
I was going to say, how slow are you going? Even I can do it quicker than that.
Round trip.
He walks.
Round trip to Swindon, and I do that because watching it, you can't beat the match day experience. I love it, and watching TV is not the same. So yeah, I'm not bothered.
Ben, if you were any more laid back right now, that shacket you're wearing would become a duvet.
Well, I'm easy going.
Last but certainly not least, Craig, I'm sure you've got an opinion on this.
Yeah, I think from a selfish point of view, as far as Swindon are concerned, I mean, Ben's right. It's going to affect away fans more than ever, and we have a good following. I don't think it will be a detriment to our attendances. If anything, I think it will increase our revenue. People who can't get to games or who can't afford to go to games will pay for that. So we probably do well out of it. My understanding is that with the blackout being lifted, there'll be like an similar iFollow service where you can pay £10 a game to stream games. So it's I think like I said, the smaller clubs, as Nick was saying, like Stevenage and Accrington's owners, he's dead against it because they rely on away fans bringing big followings down for their revenue sources, whereas obviously we don't as much. We don't rely on it. We rely on our home support and the revenue we get from that. So for me, I think it's quite a good thing. And I think, to be honest, streaming service is the way to go. It's inevitable. It's going to come in. It won't be long before companies like Amazon will overtake Sky, in my opinion. Maybe not in the next couple of years, but maybe in 5 to 10 years, whenever the next deal runs out, they'll be able to outbid Sky, and that would be the way to go. And if it's a pay-per-view thing, I'm quite happy with that. I mean, I'm lucky that I'm a 15-minute drive to the ground, so I can go to the games easily enough when I'm able to. But sometimes I can't, and I'll be more than happy to pay £10 a game to do that. And I'm sure a lot of other people will be in the same situation. My only concern is with the blackout being lifted, would that mean that Premiership games would be able to get moved to, say, 2 o'clock in the afternoon or 3 o'clock in the afternoon or 4 o'clock in the afternoon? If that happened, then that could have a detrimental effect to Football League clubs. because it's
People
kind of
stay
like
in clubs to watch that instead of watching it and then going to
yeah,
the
so
football.
it could potentially open the floodgates. So the Premiership teams will be like, well, if the blackout's gone for the EFL clubs, why are we having to adhere to it? You know, and they'll get more money because the Premiership's watched all around the world, isn't it? So, you know, certain times will be popular in different parts of the world. So that's my only concern with it. But like I said, I think it's inevitable that these streaming services are going to come in anyway, and we might as well, from a purely selfish point of view, try and reap the financial benefits from that. I know it's a bit pull the ladder up, Jack, and sod the rest, but unfortunately, I think it's going to be inevitable.
Okay, no, that's fine. I merely ask you your opinion, and no matter how your opinion is phrased, that's what it is. It's purely an opinion. We don't know whether it will or won't happen. We can only say our thoughts on it at the time.
But sorry about that. I think it's good. The point that Craig brings up is the fact that if the EFL do push it, the floodgates are going to open because you can't even watch European football at 3 o'clock in this country. Like my La Liga subscription cuts out between 2:45 and 5:15. So they're then going to allow that to happen. So then we have to stream foreign games. I think, like you say, there's a big dam being held back. If we're not careful, we're just going to chip away in it. We're going to end up getting drowned in our own ideas. So we've got to be very, very careful. I think the EFL haven't thought through certain issues like that, like Craig brought up there.
Yeah, no, it's that very, very valid points, and I'm sure there are people of much higher intelligence than me having these discussions daily to try and make sure the right package is had, and whatever they come up with, I'm sure someone won't be happy with it regardless.
As long as it's not the government that do it, because they can't seem to sort themselves out at the moment. No, sorry, too soon. Sorry.
Not at all. Si, you can have a little bit of a breather if you like, because this is a bit more Swindon Town specific, although feel free to chirp in if any of it sounds familiar to your fan base. We've had an interesting week at the CG. So we had the news that the 2 fans who did the pitch invasion received a ban. And Nick, I know you've got particular thoughts on this, so I'll come to you in a moment on that. But then today we had a sort of, not a statement as such, but more of a post from the club directly via their social media, addressing fans on expectations on fans' behaviour. I know it was a hot topic in our WhatsApp group about underage. I believe it was under 16s. They have to have an adult with them, and there was a very, very good conversation, mainly between Woody and Kieran, about. It seemed somewhat unfair that they were kind of putting this umbrella over all young people, that they behave this way, and Kieran was referring back to when, like, his first season ticket, and Woody was talking about his first season ticket was when they were sort of around the ages of 14, and there's a real sort of move towards, this is your allocated seat, this is where you should be, kind of thing, particularly in the town end, which is probably the right thing to do. But also, because of how long they've let it go, it's going to be almost impossible to enforce, particularly with the current levels of stewarding and policing within the ground. So, Nick, I'll let you start, and we'll open the conversation and debate up from there.
With regard to the 2 lads that ran on the pitch, I posted to say that the ban wasn't long enough and it should have been a lifetime ban. Now, I had some throwback on that. Had discussions with, or Twitter exchanges with Seaside Reds, who said that view was totally over the top. And having given it some thought, yes, it was over the top. So, but I still think the ban that they've been given isn't enough. And there was some statement out from the club. I can't remember word for word, but basically saying they were disappointed with the guidance they got from the EFL that it was a season-long ban. Now, I don't know what influence the EFL have on that, and I would have thought it's up to the club how long they impose a ban, but it doesn't seem that's the case. Now, my view is that I would keep them out of the club until they're out of their teams. Let them come back in when they're in their 20s and a bit more sensible, maybe. People say, well, they're only 15. But everyone knows what the issue is with going on the pitch. We've certainly had enough of it with, big crowd invasions in Port Vale, for example. 15-year-olds are supposed to be a bit more grown up nowadays, a bit more streetwise, a bit more sensible, a bit more know what's going on. So there's no excuse for what they did. And what they need to learn, a life lesson, actions have consequences. And I'll give you an example of this, and it's not totally football related, but it is related as a 15-year-old. Way back, 1969, which probably none of you were even born then, I left school and started work when I was 15. And, when you was at school and your mates said something, and you'd say, oh, you'd take piss off, or you'd flick the V's at them without even thinking. Now, I was in the yard at work one day, and one of the guys in there said something to me, and I flicked the V's at him without even thinking. He come up to me, eyeball to eyeball, and said, "You ever do that to me again, and I'll stick these 2 fingers up your nose and lift you off the ground." Now that taught me a big lesson pretty damn quick, and I never ever did or said anything like that again in my life. It was disrespectful to him. I soon learned that lesson as a 15-year-old, and the lesson is whatever you do, it's got a consequence. And to me, they need to have that consequence spelled out and understand what they did was wrong, and this is the outcome of it. So that's my view on those 2 lads. The other issue we're talking about, we'll probably talk about that again in a minute when the other guys have had their say on the running on the pitch. So that's where I stand with it.
Does anyone want to discuss the ban for the 2 lads particularly?
Oh, I agree with Nick. I think it should have been longer. Time was probably a bit too much, but yeah, sort of a 5-year ban.
Yeah.
It's stern enough to retract. It's not big. It's not funny, and unfortunately, it's led to this knock-on effect, which we've been given at the moment, which personally thinks is a little bit overkill.
Yeah.
And it's not gone down well with the fans, as you can see, which is not really what the club are after or about. But you can see why they've done it, because obviously the club get fined for it. The club get reputation for it. We get limited away allocations for it. We get limited this, that, and the other, and we get restrictions against us. We don't want a culture of fans like Stevenage last season, where they just go a little bit overboard. So they're just trying to stamp it out. So I can see why they're doing it. I do think it's a bit OTT. You're not going to get the town end to sit down. You're not.
No.
Remember they handed leaflets out 10 years ago saying sit down or lose it, and they still wouldn't sit down. And you're not going to ban 900 people, are you? So you're not going to get them to sit down. But I do agree with just having a harsh line on idiots. The pyros and all that. I kind of agree with that, and I kind of agree with quite a lot that they do come up with. I just think it's just a little bit OTT, this latest statement.
So the thing is, and on that point specifically, the standing is something obviously we spoke about a few times, and I agree we should have it sorted by now for an area. I mean, Nick, we were obviously at Stevenage last week, and bar the annoying little drum that they had, the stand where they all stood was actually quite good. You could see them all bouncing, and it certainly created an atmosphere. And that's no disrespect to drummers, because I know there's one particularly keen drummer watching at the moment, and I mean no disrespect to drummers. It's just we've had an exchange of views about my thoughts on drums at football. But so yeah, we as a club, we should have that sorted by now about safe standing. But on the subject, you can understand why they're saying, look, you've got a ticket for a seat, you need to have that, security reasons, blah blah blah. But I don't know about you, Joe. I just don't think that's going to change anything.
It won't change a thing. We're not talking about, this isn't age related. This is people in their 30s, 40s, 50s.
Yeah,
they're all the same in the town. Well, not even just in the town, and in other parts of the ground as well. People will go in and they'll sit where they want to sit, and it's irrelevant of what it says on the ticket. But I used to sit in the town a few years back, and I've got a bit older and wiser now. And it was exactly the same then. People just barge the way in. They stand where they want to stand with their mates, and it doesn't matter who's in the way. And I do think something needs to be done, but I think they've left it way too long now to really remedy it. Without, I mean, the only way you're going to completely stop it is closing the town in, but that's never going to happen. So, yeah, it's a tricky one. Yeah, but it's not just Swindon. It's you know.
I can see the difficulty in your eyes while you're trying to.
Yeah, it is. I'm trying to sort of think of a plausible reasoning for it, but I just can't think of anything. But this is just football in general at the minute, isn't it? I think since we've come back from COVID, it just seems like there's a real changing culture in football fans at the moment, and hopefully it will burn itself out perhaps in the next couple of years, and things will get better.
And I believe, and I agree, we have to be very careful, Ned, about when we're obviously the people who have had this happen to were of an age, but as Nick was saying there, when I was going to the county ground at 15, at no point was I thinking I'm going to run on the pitch. So we can't put all sort of young people and youth under this umbrella. This is people making bad decisions regardless of age. You know, as I think it was Claire put in a comment, there are people in their 20s, there are probably people in their 30s, there are probably still people in their 50s and 60s doing things in and around football that they should not be doing.
No, 100% Fife. I wasn't saying the length of bans should be X because they were 15-year-olds. I would say the same if it was anybody doing that. So yeah, age hasn't got anything to do with it. All I was saying is at 15, you should be sensible enough to know what you did.
No, I agree with you, Nick. Ned, let's throw it back to you though. Nick's doing a pretty impression of Ben.
Yeah. Sorry, Ned.
Do you know what? I'm gonna sit on the other side for this. You know, a lot of the 15-year-olds, certainly in the one of the or several of the Peas region, have had no discipline. You know, unfortunately, and just you know, come from a very different place than when we was 15-year-olds. So I kind of, you know, when you go to football, you've got that you take on the you know, siege mentality, that group mentality. You sort of like, I've got, you know, all the extra emotions coming over you because other people are getting angry, and you know, you want to show what you're doing, and you know, I kind of, you know, honestly, I get the whole spiel of, you know, it should be, you know, a longer ban, but do you know what? 15-year-olds, are they making rational decisions at 15? I'm not entirely sure. You know, if this was like, if this was you know, them nicking something from a shop, they'll just get a slap on the wrist. Do you know what I mean? I'm kind of like being a bit on the wall with this because I'm a little bit, you know, I've got children of that age, and I could, you know, them being at football on their own with their mates, gonna run on the pitch. I can see it happening. I'm not endorsing it by any stretch of the imagination, but it's just, yeah, I kind of see it. But also as well, you got to think about it that the problem started with in the Premier League, in my opinion. The problem was all these fucking kids coming on the pitch asking for, you know, trying to get shirts off all the superstars. It seemed to, you know, for a year or maybe less than a year, you know, since the end of COVID, it was acceptable for kids to run on the pitch, and then, you know, their favorite superstar gives them a shirt, and you think, well, what was, you know, it used to be no one ran on the pitch demanding shirts and stuff, but then all of a sudden it was okay. It was just a little slap on the wrist as they, you know, as they come back in. But it seemed to be just so lax. So I'm kind of like, well, hang on, how comes we're given these? You know, I wasn't there for that game, so I wasn't aware of what they've done or if they caused any damage or anything. I didn't see it. I wasn't there. I was only I was watching on television. But I wasn't watching on television.
So basically, the blackout's lifted already. Who knew?
Oh no,
Over
I was clearly watching
France.
from another country. Yeah, so
Stop digging the hole, Ned.
I went to Gibraltar with Kieran, and
You've never named him as the person who went to Gibraltar before.
So we're going to sit here and chastise some kids for breaking the law by going on the pitch and then commit to piracy. Okay?
Love it.
again,
That was a strong move.
Let me just stretch my leg.
Oh no.
Shitting bollocks. Right. So yeah. So I blame the Premier League because it was all of a sudden it was fine then and now all of a sudden it's it's bans. It's multiple year bans. Do you know what I mean? That's the kind of devil's advocate type of stance I'm going to take upon this. Just
Can someone get the physio over to Ned, please, to stretch his hamstring? We need to stretch
push
her.
down on my toes.
He's obviously not fully fit to start a pod.
No,
is
he's lacking match practice after a couple of pods off, isn't he?
Back of the old Cramperoonies.
Yeah, Rooney.
I totally agree with what Mike just said in the comments, though, that the club are saying about kid. These kids have got to be with an adult, but who's
Half the
deciding?
time, the kid is more responsible than the adult.
Exactly. There's plenty of adults at football with kids that are very irresponsible.
Mhm.
Myself included at sometimes. And,
Craig, I
But
think
it
you're
is-
the only one I haven't thrown it over to yet.
Oh, I want to go.
Yeah, I mean.
Oh,
for
you
me,
can have a both sides, don't worry.
I mean, for me, I'm kind of similar with Ned. Don't get me wrong, there has to be a deterrent. There has to be a deterrent, but I think a ban until the end of the season is more than adequate. I think anything more than that, a 15-year-old's not going to learn. They're just going to think that the world's against them, and that is harsh. That it would be enough to think, right, I can't watch the games until the end of the season, and they might change their mind. If they do it again, then yeah, give them a multiple ban. But I really don't feel comfortable giving a 14, 15-year-old's child, let's face it, a multiple year ban for invading the pitch. Let's face it, right? And I'm not just, what they did was wrong and they have to take responsibility for that. But let's look at what's happened with Port Vale recently, right? Their fans literally came on
non-existent
and insulted our players. Not one of them has been given a ban, okay? So, kids are looking at that. Like Ned was saying, they're looking at that. They see kids on the TV invading the pitch and they think it's okay. You know what I mean? So I think we have to be very careful not to scapegoat kids. What the club has made with this statement, I think, is a spectacular PR disaster, to be honest. They can't have it both ways. They can't say about generating an atmosphere at the ground. And let's face it, the kids are a key part of that. Anybody under the age of 18, right? And then start basically, I think, trying to scapegoat them. For what's been happening with the toilets in the town end and the broken seats. They haven't said that, but I'm pretty sure that this is what they're aiming at. They're blaming it on the kids when we don't know who trashed the toilets and who smashed the seats. It could have been adults. Probably was some adults involved, and I really don't feel comfortable scapegoating children. For the club to turn around and say that all kids under the age of 16 should be accompanied by an adult is quite frankly ridiculous. Most of us, I was going with my dad to games until I was 13, and then I was going with my mates. Some people can't afford to; their parents can't go with them. And let's also look at this from another point of view, right? Football is escapism, right? So you're going to have some kids at 14, 15, 16, right? They might be in abusive households or neglected households, and football could be their escape. If we're turning around and they might not have an adult to be able to take them with them. So what are we saying? That those people can't get into the ground, and then what are they going to do? That might be their only escape from a difficult childhood. So for the club to turn around and say that, I think is way over the top and just morally wrong. And like I said, the club can't have it both ways if they want to generate an atmosphere, and the kids are a big important part of that. Don't get me wrong. Like I said, there should be a deterrent, and there should always be a deterrent. But let's not scapegoat them. Okay, we've had adults going on the pitch and assaulting goalkeepers and doing all sorts. So, and they've been quite rightly banned. And we've had fans causing trouble off the pitch and stuff like that, and they've quite rightly been banned. These kids should be given enough of a chance to learn from their mistakes. I don't think putting in a multiple 5-year ban will let them learn. It will just cause resentment, and they won't learn anything from it. But that's just my point of view. I understand, Nick, where you're coming from with that. I totally do. But I think it would be way over the top, and it just wouldn't work from my view.
Can I just come back on that? I think you touched on Port Vale in the pitch invasion, and I think all along the wrong messages are being sent out. And I think there was Everton, was it Forest?
Everton was the guy that put himself on the post, wasn't it?
No, Everton had. Anyway, there were 3 major pitch invasions. I think Everton got fined 200,000 or 300,000. I don't know whether it's Huddersfield or I can't remember who it was. Got fined a fair whack, and Port Vale got jack shit basically.
Yeah.
My view on that is all those 3 clubs should have been playing games behind closed doors. That sends out a significant message, and that's why I say that the ban should have been longer for those kids. Because if you be soft straight away, sends out the wrong message. But I do agree 100% with what Craig said. That labelling all under 16s as being an issue or being a problem is totally wrong. In the club, yes, they have shot themselves in the foot. That was not very well thought out. And yeah, there's 13, 14, 15-year-old kids who can quite happily let go to a game on their own and not be a problem in them enjoy the experience. And definitely the club have got it wrong there. If an individual causes a problem, deal with that individual, but don't tar everybody with the same brush. I agree 100%, Craig. You're spot on that. And hopefully the club are going to start listening, because if you look on social media, I can't see that there were very many positives coming out of that statement.
Si, I know you've had no sort of background intel into the specifics of this chat, but from what you've heard, have you got any sort of immediate reaction to it?
So I've seen the statement because somebody put it on Twitter earlier, so I've seen it and read it. First off, you need to get the 15-year-old who wrote it. Maybe they should be banned from anything grammar-wise going forward. But anyway, the statement apart. So I think obviously numerous points have been brought up and sort of my 10 pence on them all. First one being is it's definitely, since COVID, has been the issue of the Premiership of kids running on the pitch. That then, I think a lot of the Premiership clubs trace it back to the dads almost making them do it because they want the shirts, blah, blah, blah. So the Premiership clubs have started now banning the parents of any kids to do it, just to sort of, let's call it, nip that in the bud. Secondly, I think, yes, they've got to be banned, you 15-year-old kids that did it. Obviously, I wasn't there, I don't know what it did on the pitch or what happened, but it was just a case of running on the pitch, running around, making the stewards look fat and lazy, you're not be able to catch them, and then off they go. Yes, ban them, half a season. So you guys do well, get the playoff games. They can't go to them. They can't potentially go to Wembley. Learn, that become. If it goes down the risk of it's people going on the pitch, assaulting players, scrap the referee, or stuff like that, then obviously stricter rules have got to be in place. That's the police issue, etc., etc. Moving forward, guys, you guys have got the standing issue. We had that. One of our wrist blocks, everyone stands. It sort of fades out. Then further around the ground, people sit down. I think it's for the clubs to highlight and say, look, we're not going to control it. But if you want to stand, you go here. If you don't want to stand, you go here. Purely because that way gives everyone the opportunity to do what they want. People aren't given, oh, well, I bought this seat here and everyone stood around me. You're the only person the whole block sat down. What do you want? So, there's issues like that. People have a bit of common sense regards to allocation of tickets. And pyro, we take it. We take these most pathetic smoke grenades I've ever seen in my life. I swear to God, I could throw a pot of powder paint in the pitch and cause more of an effect than this and some wind. But some of the problem goes to that. It's not necessarily the people taking them in, but the fact that the stewards are letting them in and then going overkill when they're thrown. So if you did your job properly in the first place, they wouldn't have got them in. So therefore, you can't moan at people for bringing them in and using them. So I do get the risk. Obviously, you've got people who've got asthma or breathing issues or anxiety. It can have an effect on that. But then I always feel Colchester, we seem to do things so pathetically, like the B-Tech versus Galatasaray. Galatasaray, like literally stopping the traffic outside their ground with about a pyro going off. And there we are with some little sort of bluey. We couldn't even get red this season. At Ipswich, we threw a bloody pink one on there. We couldn't find a red one. So, yeah. But I think what I'm trying to get at is the fact that, yes, there's got to be rules in place. But yes, there's also got to be understanding of case-to-case basis. And if it is a couple of 15-year-olds, show off to their mates, ban them for a little bit, show them the fact that, right, what you've done here is wrong, you'll get punished, you come back and do it again, even if it's minor again, that's you for 5, 6, whatever years. However, if it's a group of kids, adults, or whatever going on there, squirts referee, pushing players, or anything along those lines, then straight away instant 5, 6 year bans, because that goes beyond showing off, beyond anything else that goes on to player safety, fan safety, etc. If you don't like stand-up areas, well, I'm sure there's a family stand or those areas you can go in the ground. Anything like ours is never going to be 100% forced. You can always move about a little bit. And like Craig was saying, if everybody wants atmosphere and wants it, you've got to understand there's going to be an element of standing up. It's very hard to get in the mood singing when you're sat down. It just doesn't have the same effect. I think every club's got the same issues. It's just what you guys have done is by throwing out the statements throughout, it's almost like we've got angels of a fan base, except these horrendously devil 2 15-year-olds that just run the pitch and now no one can come in anymore. They just, I don't be funny. I was probably my worst in my early 30s of football. I was at any other age because I was like, oh, well, no one really cares anymore. I just can get drink and act an idiot, basically. So, I agree with what all you guys have said. It's very much a topic of opinion, but you can't say no one's allowed in until you get to a certain age, because just because you suddenly get to 16 doesn't make you sensible.
No, absolutely not. I'm sure that is a debate that will rumble on and on for weeks, if not the rest of the season. A nice, easy question to get you in the mood for the final topic then, guys. The FA Cup draw is on Monday, so obviously on Monday night's episode, we'll be able to react to whoever we get. But I'm interested to know who you think we might get. Joe, if I could start with you, are you thinking home and away, and who to?
Home to somebody's shit would be nice.
Home to somebody's shit would be nice. Now, when we're describing somebody's shit,
that's this Saturday, isn't it?
Yeah, well, yeah. That's going to bite you on the ass. To be honest, as a fan, I love the FA Cup. I love everything about the FA Cup.
I still love the FA Cup.
And I always look at the first round and I think I want to go away to a small club, somewhere different. Good day out. It's going to be tough because it's going to be physical and whatever, but you don't get a chance to go to these clubs very often. So anywhere below the conference away.
National League.
Yeah. Well, National League. So, yeah.
We're so old school. This is the fourth time we've been called out for calling it the conference tonight.
Yeah, any team below the National League away from home would be lovely for me.
I don't know. We've been on the end of enough fucking cup upsets for it to.
Yeah, but most of them are at home.
So. Let's go to Craig next.
Yeah, my first thought would be Wrexham away. That'd be pretty good. Bit of a Hollywood sort of tie, literally. But no, yeah. Oh, brilliant. But plus, it's a ground I haven't been to. Racecourse ground. It's an old ground. It's a big ground, and I'd love to go there. And it's quite a good atmosphere at the moment. Under the current regime, from what I can
sound effects, isn't it?
And I think they've still got standing there as well. So if I'm able to stand, that'll be brilliant. But for me, the game that I want, and I know this isn't going to be popular, I want Port Vale at home.
Yes, that's my shout.
No.
Time to get our revenge.
Right, now, hang on, because we need to be very sensible when we say this, because you've just had a 15-minute rant about like behaviour and things like this, and you want to stoke the flames of trials gone by having Port Vale at home.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I want Port Vale at home. Get the revenge out of the way. and then we can shut up their fans for the rest of the season until they come down and play us when they get relegated.
Yeah.
So Ben's already agreed with you and said Port Vale, Ned?
Absolutely. Port Vale, all the way. Or Oxford, but Port Vale.
You know, I'd love to have Oxford away, but I think I just know it's going to be at home against one of the bottom four. I just know it is.
The bottom four in League Two?
Yes, 100%. It's going to be either Hartlepool, Harrogate, Rochdale, or the Tin Pot team of Crawley. Be one of those four.
Don't fucking start calling Crawley Tin Pot again.
Sorry, shit team Crawley.
Okay.
To be fair to them, I think I've got to get a bit better to get Tin Pot the way they're performing at the moment, on and off the field.
Yeah. It's not even Tin Pot, is it?
Yeah.
Nick, what are you thinking for the FA Cup draw?
I would like a non-league club away, like say somewhere where we haven't been before.
Okay.
But I did a random number selector.
Okay.
To see what number we would draw, and it come out that we would be playing Sutton.
Okay.
So we'll see if the random number generator is anywhere near the truth.
So are you like these guys when it comes to Colchester? Are you looking for a non-league team away?
So I'm looking for a League Two team at home, purely because I've got a game for Chelsea that day, so I can't go. So I want it to be really boring, or then get through the second round and get a decent draw.
Okay. I have a feeling we will. So I know it's because of the story, but I genuinely have this feeling it's going to be Charlton at home.
Ooh.
And because that's just how football works sometimes. And I can just see Charlton coming and it being, first round, Charlton at home. We win, of course. And then we get Colchester away in the second round and lose. So that's my vision for the FA Cup.
I get to come on here again if you get Colchester, so I'm more.
Yes, of course you do. Yeah, you'll be getting more appearance fees than half our panelists. Okay, well, we will obviously reflect on the FA Cup draw on Monday night's episode. So that brings us to the questions element, which is always the panelists' favourite part. But before we jump into those, Si, for anyone who we're in a very fortunate position on Fools Rush In at the moment. We're very lucky that our viewership and our listener numbers have gone up. So there are likely to be people watching now who aren't as familiar with your track record on Fools Rush In. So for anyone watching who doesn't know you, just tell them a bit about your backstory. And you said you've got a game at Chelsea there, so tell them about the football you're involved in.
So football-wise, I'm playing empty football for Chelsea. I was at West Brom last season. Got moved to Chelsea this season, so it's a massive upturn in what they expect and obviously what they expect from us on and off the pitch. And I'm also in the England development squad for amateur football as well. So it's all very exciting. To be fair, it's one of those situations where losing my leg later in life after my army career was actually a good thing, because no matter how good I thought I was never ever going to play for either of those two teams with two legs. So all positives, but yeah, it gives me more time to enjoy football from both a playing perspective and a fan's perspective. So can't moan at all.
And that is the reason why we're trying to have an England international appearing on our podcast.
Yeah, sorry to let everyone down who thought they were going to get like Beckham was going to turn up or someone. So sorry, guys. But I would all joking aside though, if anyone wants to like YouTube amputee football stuff, it's well worth a watch. Just how physical and actually intense it is. I think it will surprise a lot of people who sort of think it'll be a slow-paced game. It's actually very fast-paced and very physical. So, yeah, have a look.
Oh, great. And as always, we wish you the very best of luck with the amputee football. And we look forward to when you're a fully fledged member of that England squad, we'll be coming down to cheer you on, because it's you do play at grounds that are local to lots of people to allow different people the opportunity to come and watch. So the very best of luck with that.
Cool. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay, gentlemen, it's question time, and we have had various questions submitted. But in keeping with the theme of this episode, where I'm just doing housekeeping throughout, I would like to put a question to anyone who is still watching along. I was explaining to Ben earlier that in helping my mate who is doing the charity stream I mentioned earlier, and despite Nick's best efforts to dispel the rumor, I do actually prep for this. I do come on sometime before we go live and work on things to make sure all the flashy bits that tickle on the bottom and stuff are working fine. I've not actually had any dinner yet this evening, and I'm now starting to get quite hungry. So if anyone can make suggestions of what Fife you should have on a Friday night after Fools Rush In, I'd love to know what people are recommending this week. Now, do we want a general question first, or do we want the Swindon Town question first? You guys can decide.
Give us a general.
General. Okay, general question. The other week we did a feature where we allowed people to ask us questions, and we did the one about what actors would play us in Fools Rush In the movie. This week has been a very sad week in the world of entertainment. We've had Dame Angela Lansbury sadly pass away, and today, if you've not heard, Robbie Coltrane as well has passed away. So I'm going to turn the question the other way around and ask you all, what great literary character would you like to play? Not who would play you, but would you like to play? Ben, you admitted the other week your secret skill is you're a bit of an actor. So I imagine you're going to go straight in with one of the all-time great roles.
I'm going to be, do you know what? It's random. I'm thinking the first name that came to my head, Hercule Poirot. For some random reason, that came into my head.
Okay, it's an interesting choice.
First name. So I'll be old Poirot.
Okay, Ben is Poirot. Nick.
Oh, when we did the Who Would Play You the other week, somebody said for me it would be Michael Caine.
Yeah, Woody was trying to be nice, if I remember rightly.
So anyone Michael Caine was in. How about Alfie?
Okay.
Alfie. Yeah. He was a playboy as well, wasn't he, old Alfie?
Yeah, he was a boy.
Yeah.
Ned, what great character from history are you reprising the role of?
Well, I'm not sure if it's a great character from history, but I was thinking that, with obviously my height and my build, well, not so much the muscle-wise, but just the height. But I was thinking I could possibly be Smaug from the Hobbit.
Okay.
The dragon?
No, he's the leader of the orcs, isn't he? He's the
Smaug
big.
was
He's the one with the blade for a hand.
Oh.
And then I was going to do an impression, but I'm certainly not going to do it now.
Hi. What character from history would you reprise the role of? See, you forget that. So when I say live that nobody gets time to prep other than me knowing the questions, Si is now giving you the proof. Nobody gets time to prep for these questions.
I don't know. There's just so many amazing roles that I'd be so good at. Honest. Probably one that doesn't involve talking, acting, or being on camera. Now, if I got a choice, I think I want to be one of the Fellowship of the Ring and Lord of the Rings. Probably Aragorn or Boromir, just because I think it's a cool story.
Yeah, nice. No, I like that.
Anything.
Craig, some international sex symbol, I presume?
No, I'm going to go very niche, very sort of cult classic British film. I don't know if any of you have seen the film Dead Man's Shoes, but I would play the character of Rich. It's a revenge thriller. If you haven't seen it, it's Paddy Considine is the main actor in it. He's in the latest House of the Dragon. Plays Viserys in Game of Thrones. If you get the chance to watch the film Dead Man's Shoes, which is a British revenge thriller, and he plays a character called Rich, I would love to have played him, definitely, without a doubt. Okay.
Joe?
This is my worst type of question because I never know how to answer these. So if anyone's got any suggestions on what an overweight farmer from Wiltshire should play, then I'd greatly appreciate it.
Well, it's funny. It's funny you should say that, and I don't mean this at all. But you saying that would generally be the same answer as I would have, because my first thought is because I love to make people laugh where I can. So the role I would love to play would be like Nick Frost's character in Hot Fuzz.
Yeah.
So that would equally be ideal for you, Joe.
Joe, I've got it. I've got it for you. Zach Dingle.
Dingle.
Spot on. Nice one.
Yeah. Thanks, Craig.
So everyone's gone from like classic films to Emmerdale.
Here you go, Joe.
Was all damage? Not a bad shout. Not a bad shout.
For me,
anybody of that sort of countryside, I could pull that off.
Right, so basically, you want to be a new walk-on character in the next series of Our Country, is what you're saying?
I do.
You can't stand that. For me, obviously, similarly, I was considering what Ned said, and I was considering what Joe said, and I was thinking about my height and physique, and I was thinking any character played by The Rock would be ideal. But more likely, if we're doing sort of cult classic British films along the process of Craig. Sorry, mate.
What about Andy out of Little Britain in the wheelchair?
Yeah. If we're going down the cult classics like Craig, then I forget the actor's name, but I would be the fat mate from the Full Monty. Probably would end up being what I ended up with.
Chunk from the Goonies.
Yeah. And as we've established many times, I have such a generic look that any fat person with glasses and a beard would be ideal for me. That's for sure.
You look like the guy from Family Guy.
Yeah, don't start. Fucking can't stand that program either.
Roadhouse.
We have a more pressing question, gentlemen. And Si, by all means, if you know the answer, then jump in. But this is more Swindon Town themed, so we're not expecting it. No pressure whatsoever. Along the same lines, and as I've put along the ticker, the likes of Mike and John, I cannot thank you enough for how easy you make my job doing this, because I have to put no thought anymore. The fact that so many people, and if you haven't seen it, Danny sent us a Christmas Carol Fools Rush In version this week, which was superb. We really do, like, it all gets shared around. As soon as I get notifications, it's put in our WhatsApp group, so the likes of Warren, who doesn't use Twitter, can see it. We appreciate so much that so many of you are creating content for us that we don't have to do anything. Literally all I'm doing these days is pushing buttons, because you're all coming up with all the genius for us. We really, really do appreciate it. And anyone who is in any way concerned, as long as, you would have to go a long way, really, with the content that is being put out. I know Paddy was concerned the other day after a picture he did about offending us. We have a very good collective sense of humour. As long as you're not outright, abusing people, then I've not really seen any content be created on our behalf that has done anything other than make us laugh. We really, really do appreciate it and encourage all the more. The more you can throw at us, the more laughs we'll have during the week in between episodes, that's for sure. But back to the question. And John has sent another one in, famous for some of the classics in recent episodes, like the sponsors on the shirts and the managers in the decades. He asks, 9 former Swindon Town players have made World Cup squads for England. That includes loan players. How many of the 9 between you do you think you can name?
Michael Carrick.
James Milner.
Michael Carrick is there. James Milner is there.
Glenn Hoddle.
Glenn Hoddle, yep. That's 3.
Paul Allen.
Nope.
Mark
How did Fleming
Walters.
go to the World Cup?
Walters.
Walters isn't on the list, no.
I thought that was a good shout.
Yeah, I thought that was a good shout.
Who did you say, Ben? Sorry?
Fleming? Harold Fleming? 'Cause he played for
Nope.
England, didn't
The
he?
World Cup's not even started then.
Yeah.
Oh, I hadn't. You're right. Good point. I was trying to be smart. Terry Fennick.
Terry Fennick is on
Yep.
the list.
Paul
Paul
Rideout.
Ince.
4.
Paul Ince,
Paul Ince.
Paul Ince, 5, yeah.
Ruddock.
Did Ruddock
No.
go to World Cup? No.
Paul Rideout.
No.
Right.
So how many more do we need? 4.
You got 5 of 9. By the way, I've had no suggestions of what I should have for dinner yet. I'm very disappointed.
You shouldn't have anything for dinner. It's too late. Your metabolism won't take it. You need to go straight to bed.
Do I look like someone who's worried about my metabolism?
Just trying to help. Yeah, just trying to help. It's never too late to start.
Steve McMahon.
Steve McMahon is 6,
Yeah.
yeah.
Steve
Yeah,
McMahon, yeah. Good shout.
Is that who's played or been in the squad?
Made World Cup squads.
Oh, made.
Dennis Wise.
Nope. Three more to get. There's a really, by the way, one of them, even John put in there when he sent it to me, he's put, this one's very dodgy. Do you want some clues?
Tim Flowers.
Tim Flowers is number 7, yep.
We're not going to be as dodgy as Theo Walcott, are we?
Theo Walcott is number 8, yep.
No.
Oh, that is a dodgy one.
Oh, John, they're not happy with Theo Walcott, then. If you're still watching, they're not happy with Theo
I'm not
Walcott.
having Theo.
Just one more to go, then.
One more.
Joe, we're not going as dodgy as Theo Walcott, are we?
Hey, there's nothing wrong with being.
It's got to be another lone
England
player.
player.
Must be another lone player.
Oh, Ryan Mason.
No.
No, he didn't make a World Cup squad. No. Christ, I don't know.
To be fair, I don't think I know I wouldn't get this last one if I hadn't been sent the answer.
You better give us a clue then.
How many games did he play for Swindon?
Hang on, I'm just loading it up via the very reliable source that is swindon-town-fc.co.uk.
What a website.
What a website indeed. I cannot praise that website enough. He played 5 starts and 1 sub-appearance in the 94-95 season.
94-95. No.
That was Steve McMahon.
Neil Webb.
Neil Webb is the
Neil
correct
Webb.
answer.
Great shout.
Good
Great shout.
Superb shout. Superb. Heaton. Did he? No, Heaton's never made a World Cup squad. I don't believe anyway, Mike. But you'll have to take it up with your creative assistant, that is John, if you believe that to be the case, as you two are battling out for top content creators right now. I think that brings to a close our Colchester preview episode. Si, firstly, thank you very much, as always, for your time. We really, really do appreciate it. If we get Colchester in the cup, then absolutely you'll be back on. If not, we will see you later in the season for the return fixture. Ben, Nick, Ned, Joe, Craig, as always, it's been an absolute pleasure having you guys as well. Thank you for taking time out of your very busy and sociable Friday nights to chat shit with me for an hour or so. We've got a couple of messages coming in. Mike there. Thanks, Si, says Mike. Oh, hang on. John's not sure if he's got this list right now that Mike said. maybe a steward's inquiry. If I can just say one more time, let's try and remember all the housekeeping. Good luck to Rich and the whole family on the birth of my soon-to-be niece. We want to wish Claire a very, very happy birthday from everyone at Fools Rush In. Good luck to both Claire and Michelle collecting outside the game tomorrow. We hope Danny gets better very soon. Good luck to Carl, who is doing the charity stream while we speak. Once we finish this, that is where I'll be heading off to, is because he's not very well either. So I'm sure he could do with someone talking on his behalf for half an hour or so, and obviously I like to talk, so that's good. I will flash the just along the screen there one last time. If you are able to donate towards SANS and everyone else on Baby Loss Awareness Week, there is all the information you need. But from me, from Si, and the rest of the fools on the panel tonight, thank you very, very much for your time. We do appreciate it. This is your pod as much as it is ours. So we thank you for your time and your efforts. Until Monday night, come on, you Reds. Let's bring home the points. We'll see you on Monday.
Take my hand, take my whole life too, but I can't help falling in love.